Hi all, I'm your host Cryptic and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, it's more Gran Turismo 7, but if you've read the title of the video, I'm drilling down specifically on the PlayStation VR2, its current status, what I would like to see from it, but where I think it's gonna, well, where Sony and PlayStation are gonna take it. So yeah, without further ado, let's get straight into the video. In the background, I'm actually doing the weekly that refreshed on Friday, so it's the most recent one. Got the whole thing done in about 57.5 minutes, roughly. So under an hour to do the whole thing. Get all the ticket prizes, first places, etc. It wasn't that hard. A few people have asked, I clearly don't do the main grind that I've been talking about in my last few videos. Pretty much at all, unless I need to get a few credits, which I think I've mentioned before. I just do the weeklies. I get money from the weeklies, buy whatever cars I'm interested in for that week, or if nothing piques my interest in the Legends dealer or the main sort of brands area, brand central, then yeah, I just save up the cash. But you can see throughout this, I get a fair bit of coin, especially since all the ticket prizes, ticket 1, 2, and 3, are all credits, which is fantastic. My favorite type. Nothing worse than getting a parts ticket. It is absolutely a waste of time. You can't even sell anything, and you usually get a part that's for a vehicle you never use anyway. But yeah, that aside, I finally plugged in my PlayStation VR2. First time in a few months. I have been playing the hell out of Like a Dragon 8 Infinite Wealth. Finally finished it, well, the main story anyway, and a bunch of the sides. Still got to platinum the main game and do some of the post-game stuff, including the DLC, which sucks because they did New Game Plus and difficulty levels. They put those behind a paywall, which I'm greatly against, but it did hit a deep discount recently, so I figured if there's any time for me to get it, this is the time. Give them as little money as possible. So yeah, been playing that. So I haven't been playing Gran Turismo 7 or had time to do much videos and stuff. But yeah, finally launched the PlayStation VR2, and my always go-to is Gran Turismo 7. The PSVR 2 completely changed and I believe revolutionized VR and the racing genre / racing sim genre for me anyway. I can only speak on behalf of myself, to the point where playing Gran Turismo 7 or any racing game normally is like, I just can't do it. Being able to virtually sit in a vehicle that I will in a million years never be able to own or probably even drive is really next level. And doing the entire weeklies in VR, other than clearly proving that my braking needs a lot of work, I'm actively doing it every week for the weeklies. I haven't missed any in a while, except for when I was on leave for a while, so that was about a month. But other than that, being back at home and working and stuff like that, I haven't missed a single week. And yeah, my braking is terrible, which is why I was in VR. I always have the braking zones highlighted just to give me a general idea. Otherwise, yeah, getting the right depth in VR sometimes, especially when you haven't played VR in a while, can sort of throw you off, especially in a racing game. So yeah, that's why I have it on. But it has completely revolutionized the genre for me, to the point where this is the only way I really want to play it. And I recently went onto the PlayStation Store to see, hey, what other racing games are compatible with the PSVR 2? Surely there's more. There must have been developers who were like, damn, Gran Turismo 7 got a boost of people playing it again with the weekly races update and the VR mode and the high praise it's gotten for that. Surely others are doing it. Formula 1, WRC, any rallies, anything, Assetto Corsa, anything. And unfortunately, no, none of them. None of them support PlayStation VR on the PS5 anyway, or the PSVR 2 at all. And that really got me disappointed, because I feel like for me, I'm going to potentially not want to play them because they don't have PSVR 2 support, because I enjoy that so much. And then recently, I want to throw a screenshot of it on the screen here. In the last few days, there was an article that went up how supposedly Sony or PlayStation has cut the number of in first party developed VR2 titles down to 2. I wasn't even aware that they had any in-house titles to begin with, but yeah, apparently there's only 2, and they rambled on for a few studios like Insomniac, where they haven't even got them doing anything. And to be fair, I don't think Sony would want them doing VR titles, because they bring in the money doing, the Ratchet and Clanks, the Spider-Mans, and other AAA blockbuster titles that hit a much larger audience. But with the recent announcement of the new Astrobot game, and how there is no VR mode to it, and that the reason is they had to early on make a decision: is it going to be a 2D style, non-VR title, which is what they're going to put their full effort in, or they're going to make it a VR title, and put their full effort in. That's one or the other. They can't do both. And I'm like, I understand that. I call complete bullshit on that, because we've seen things with, for example, Gran Turismo 7, the Resident Evil titles, and a few others where they have a VR mode, and it lends itself very well without too much having to be reworked or redone by the developer in order to make the VR experience work and have fun, because the PSVR 2 pretty much does it for you. You tick the boxes, and the foveated rendering, the field of view, the refresh rate, all that, as long as it's it's running at the acceptable resolution and frame rate, it makes your game look amazing in VR. A lot more so than what the original PlayStation VR did. To be fair, it was very much Frankenstein together on the PS4 and PS4 Pro to get it working. But yeah, really disappointing, because I personally would have loved to have switched between playing Astrobot normally and in VR. And I'm really hoping that, there are more titles that are going to be coming onto the VR that aren't just the usual shovelware. Like you'll see, yeah, but VR2 has all these titles and half of them are crap, shovelware. They get loaded onto there and really don't make it feel like that your investment in the device is really worth it, because there's nothing of the caliber of what you wanted to play. And personally for me, I really, really, really want to see more racing and racing sims be compatible on VR2. And I know it's okay, just play on the PC, and I totally get that. But for some, and I'm not necessarily myself, but for some, their console is their main way to game, and they'll invest in that, and they don't want to invest in a PC for various reasons, where the PC parts or computers are generally more expensive than the consoles in their country or region. They are here in Australia. I would say PCs are significantly more dearer than a console, especially if you want to build something that'll do, your 4K gaming, your VR experience, etc. Way more expensive, where you're in the thousands for that, where in a console's PS5 and a VR2 about $1,500 Aussie, give or take, promos and bundles and all that sort of stuff. But it's a lot more achievable price point on the PlayStation side or the console side to get into this sort of stuff. I'm also aware that, sim racing is huge on PC compared to what they are on the consoles, but I feel like the consoles have gotten to a stage where they are so much more PC-like that barrier should not really be there, and that if someone wants to enjoy whether they're on the console or on the PC or both, they should be able to do it on both, and shouldn't be just on one title. Assetto Corsa is great on the PS5. It would be even better if it had a VR update to be compatible with VR2. The Formula 1 games are great on console. Would be even better if they just supported the VR2. I guess whether the developers think that there's enough reason to do it, that they'd get enough out of it. Even the publishers probably. It's like, how can we make money with this? We can't? Okay, we're not doing it. Which is a real shame, because the recent article that came up that I briefly alluded to and never explained was, well, I was explaining a little bit, that Sony seemed like they're dropping support for the VR2. And I really, really hope that's not the case. I personally love it. Playing everything from the shooters to GT7 to a bunch of the other titles that are on there. It is a great piece of kit. And it would be a real shame for it to take the route of the Vita, where they're like, hey, it's not selling well. We haven't really released enough decent games, first party titles to really push the sales and push people's interest in it. So let's just kill it off and just expect that, developers, third parties and all that will take care of it for us, and then give it a slow and painful death, and then realize how ahead of its time it is. Because look, other than the fact that it is a tethered experience, as in it's physically, there's one cable going to the console, to the VR headset, it's not wireless. Other than that aside, and personally for me, I don't mind that. The cable is hella long. It's one, not like the 2 plus the breakout box that the original VR had. It is awesome. It is so easy to get a perfect fit, get into your VR experience and just enjoy it. But I also know that VR isn't for everyone. Some people just outright hate it. Totally fine. Others want to love it, but they can't because they get motion sick while playing it. I'm one of the fortunate ones, I guess, where I don't really, unless it's something that really disorients you and gets you confused in the direction that you're meant to be facing or doing, and you sort of lose track of where you are, and sort of gives you that head spin effect and that you want to throw up. But those games are very few and far between, and it's pretty easy to tell if that's the type of game that this is. It's easy for me just to avoid it. But again, not many come up like that at all for me. But yeah, it would be really awesome that if they could just continue to support it properly. Now, I know it's coming to the PC. They've made that very clear, especially with the announcement of the adapter, the PC adapter, and how much that is. I don't know how much it's going to be in Aussie dollars. I think when it got announced, it was in USD, and I don't recall how much it was, but I think it was between $50 and $70, give or take US. I don't know what that'll be. Probably be another 50% on top for AUD for us down here in Aussie. But it's missing a lot of the features that make it great. The haptic feedback, the foveated rendering, the eye tracking, etc., etc. It's just going to be a vanilla VR experience on the PC, which is, what is the point? Why not just make the adapter free at that point? I could understand if it's a one-to-one recreation on the PC, then fine, sell the adapter, and yeah, it makes sense. But when we're missing so many of the features, Sony, why? Like, what development costs went into this adapter other than it splitting up the signals between video and data and power, which is what it seems like is all it does. Surely the PS5, as far as I know, architecture-wise, doesn't have a chip that solely does VR. I know it does a 3D audio on board, which it doesn't need a separate breakout box for, like the original VR did on the PS4 and 4 Pro. But everything else is done on the headset. The headset does all the foveated rendering, all the eye tracking, the haptics, all that. If a PC is spec'd out to a point where it can do VR no problem, surely it has the processing power to do all that as well. We can't say that a PS5 is more powerful than a PC. It definitely isn't. At no point was it. But it is great value for what it offers, a consistent enough 4K experience or high refresh rate experience for the latest and greatest games. That's fine, but nothing a 4-5+ grand PC can't bloody do. So I don't understand why they're half baking solutions. They know people want it on PC since day one, and that was a big misstep by Sony and PlayStation to not bring it to the PC. And now that they are, they're like, yeah, we'll bring it, kinda, sorta, maybe. Like, you either go all in and do it right or don't do it at all. And I feel like it's going to be one of those things where modders and independent developers on the PC side's gonna crack the drivers and the adapter and then unlock all those features, because that's how it usually works, right? Publishers and corporations mess things up and they half-ass releases, and then it's always left to the community to pick up the scraps and do it right. And it seems like that's exactly what's going to happen again here. And it just feels like the slow demise of anything cool out of Sony that's not a mainline console. And I just wish they would wake up and learn from their damn mistakes already, because they've done them enough, and do what the people really want. Because I assure you, Sony, if you were to do what the fans want, you'd be making money hand over fist, more so than you are now. And I get it, you're on the top. You're on top, of the console generation, all that sort of stuff. That's great. But we've seen what it was like for Microsoft to screw things over, and Nintendo have screwed things over in the past, and it brings them back to rock bottom. And then when you're at rock bottom and then you have time to sort of reflect on your mistakes and be a bit more humble, then you realize, oh, we should do the right thing and then be the better individual. Yeah. Real shame. And I hope that things change. I hope that, the article isn't 100% true, that there's going to be a lot more support. I want to see, more, oh, you can play this title in VR2 as well. You can play this racing sim in VR as well, or this racing game in VR2 as well. Have that certified PlayStation VR option on games. A lot more. Felt like, as janky as the original PSVR 1 was, there was so many titles where it's like, oh, VR only, or can also be played VR, as an option. And that was bloody great. We even had fighting games, having VR mode. Sure, they were limited, but at least they were trying. And I get also, in a sense, that, the time frame of release for the VR2 hasn't been that long, and there are some good titles, but when you have the manufacturer, Sony, here, cutting down on what they're working on for their own hardware, it incentivizes third parties less and less to do anything, because Sony's not going to support it, then there's no point in us doing anything about it. I mean, it's just a waste of resources and money. No one's going to buy it. They've even stopped production of the damn units because, they need to sell out through their inventory and stuff. It's not in a good place at all. Not in a good place at all. And it makes me a bit worried, because it's going to stifle innovation in the gaming sector. And I'm all for, more pixels, more resolution, more ray tracing, but eventually it's like the law of diminishing returns. Unless there's something new and interesting and engaging and, really gets people excited about, real groundbreaking technology that, makes your jaw drop, it's gonna lead to the next gaming crash, I guess, or the next tech crash, which I would hate to see. Gaming is one of the very few mediums that I enjoy so much, that lets me escape from the real world and what's happening around me, and I can just sort of have fun and not worry about anything for an hour or so, before I have to get back into reality. And I want to see it thrive, and I want people to enjoy it, and I want it to grow and attract more people to it, more age groups, a more diverse and larger pool of people that can really help move it forward as an audience, and those who want to get involved in the industry and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, what else can I say that I haven't already? I just hope that the rumors aren't true. I really hope that they really pick up their game and realize that, the ones who have bought it and are enjoying the crap out of it really want more. I want more. We want more. Not just this. I don't want to have to wait for the next Gran Turismo 8 or whatever it's going to be, or Sport 2, whatever, for the next, racing VR2 experience. Of course, when the adapter comes out, I'm going to get it for PC, and I'm going to run it on PC and see how bad it is, and see what the community gets up to, modding the drivers and the software and the experience for it. But Sony needs to also internally develop the software and the technology more, and push it, and give a reason to people to actually buy it and get behind it. Again, I know not everyone's a huge fan of the VR2, but I feel like it, combined with a sim rig, cockpit and everything is the ultimate, racing experience for those that can't afford to do track days and buy the fancy cars or rent those cars out for the weekend or whatever it is, or might not have access to those type of facilities or tracks near them where they live. You can do it in the safety of your own home, and have fun without hurting anyone. It'll cost you a little bit of money out of your wallet, but hell of a lot cheaper in the long run compared to the other option that you may not have access to. And it would just be really cool if everyone can enjoy it, not just PC players, but console gamers, anyone at any price point. I do believe that VR2 could be that, like the VR1 was, that entry level, but it's great. The technology is awesome. In saying that, I know people are going to say, oh, why is your recording fuzzy? Is it like that with the headset on? Not at all. You see everything crystal clear, but it's the eye tracking and the foveated rendering, so it tracks where your eyes are looking and it puts those at full resolution, and it can predict where you're going to look next and where you are next with the tracking. And then as soon as you look there, and you can tell from the screen where my eyes are looking because that's the clearest image. It's perfectly clear. And where I'm not looking is where it appears blurry to you. But to me, even on my peripheral vision or vision from the edge of my eyes, not at all. Had my best mate ask me, hey, it's a bit blurry here. Is it for you? When it first came out and tried it out with the GT7. And it was like, no, man, perfectly clear. And realize that's the foveated rendering and eye tracking doing its magic. And yeah, I think it's bloody awesome. Such a huge step to the original VR. And I know I did a video on how to set up the original PSVR, or the V2 of it that had the HDR pass-through, onto the PS5 and get it working. And I get so many questions about, hey, this isn't working, etc., etc. Anyone who's coming from that video, watched that video and had a question, I am sorry, I cannot help you any further with the original VR. I no longer have it. I traded mine in. Despite not having backwards compatibility on the VR2, I put it towards the VR2. Just because, I really wanted all the awesome features on the PS5 to play GT7 and everything else. And I guess I was converting the games I already owned on original VR that had an upgrade path, whether free or a small fee, to the VR2 version. I've done that. For me, that's what I wanted. I can understand that was another miss by them not making it backwards compatible. But I believe it was because of the technology behind it, where the VR1 used the colored lights to track everything with the camera. This doesn't use the camera at all. The PlayStation camera, the current one on PS5 either, to track anything. So the interaction and tracking and everything was just not compatible anymore. So unless developers like the Moss Book 1 and Book 2 developers, for example, didn't update everything to be compatible with PS5, it would have just stayed on the VR1. So, real shame. That was a huge misstep. But I mean, welcome to the console life, where a new generation console comes around. There's no guarantee your old library will work on it, so keep your old console. I still have my PS1 and PS2. By PS1 I mean the original PlayStation, not the one with the PSX or one that had the attached screen to it or whatever. Never got the PS3. That was PC land for me in portable gaming during that time. But I had the PS4. That's gone as well, since the PS5 plays all my PS4 games that I have. So 1, 2, and 5. And PSP and Vita. That's my console collection right there. But yeah, just be great if this didn't go down the route of the Vita and become like a dead weight, and people after the Vita died, then they realized, wow, this thing is awesome, and was so ahead of its time. Let's not have that happen again. Like, come on. And it's not the consumer's fault or the user's fault. It's 110% Sony's fault. No doubt about it. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the whole situation. I've rambled on enough, I believe. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you have the PSVR 2? Do you have the first one and you found no reason to upgrade to the second one because of lack of backwards compatibility? Or did you never have the first one, you got the second one. Well, what's your experience overall, I guess, is what I'm asking with PlayStation VR or even VR in general across any platform, PC, PlayStation, etc. Or even just the standalone ones. For me, in the right genres, etc., it is phenomenal. As long as you don't get motion sick from it. And I feel really bad for those who do, because I feel like you're missing out on a great experience that you won't be able to enjoy until they sort that out, I guess, somehow in the future. But yeah. Also, big shout out and thank you to all the new subscribers we have on the channel. Thank you for subscribing, liking, watching, all that. I make videos from time to time. My upload schedule is very sporadic and irregular, but as soon as I feel passionate or I have a topic that I'm really into, I'll upload something. As best as I can, I try to avoid trends just for the views and clicks and, AdSense revenue, which is bugger all. Try to make stuff I'm genuinely interested in, whether it gets the views or not. But for those who watch and that like and share and subscribe, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And speaking of which, if you did enjoy this video, you did enjoy this conversation and topic on the channel, hit that thumbs up button or thumbs down if you don't like it. All feedback is good feedback. Comment below. Subscribe if you're not subscribed, and share the video with someone or anyone that you think would enjoy watching the video. But yeah, I'll wrap up the footage in the background as well and show you the tallies at the end of all the tickets I got after completing everything. Hopefully I edit this in such a way that I can show you a bit of a highlight of all the races for the weeklies, and yeah, show you what vehicles I used. They're pretty easy way to get money and good fun way to break up the monotony of just the Daytona grind. So yeah. Anyway guys, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.